There is a quiet decision that changes everything. It is not announced with fireworks. It does not require a ceremony. It is a whisper that rises from the deepest chamber of your being, a whisper that says, I am worthy. And the moment you truly decide that you are worth having what you desire, the universe begins to rearrange itself in ways you cannot yet see. Not because the universe was withholding from you, but because you were withholding from yourself. Most people live as if they are petitioners before life, standing at the door of abundance with a cap in their hands, asking for scraps. They pray for love while believing they are unlovable. They seek success while secretly feeling inadequate. They desire prosperity while holding on to the conviction that they do not deserve it. And so the outer world mirrors the inner verdict. Life does not respond to what you beg for. It responds to what you believe you are worthy of receiving. The world you see is not happening to you. It is happening through you. Every experience you attract is a reflection of the energy you hold about yourself. If deep within you there is a silent belief that you are less than, life will faithfully confirm it. If you carry the knowing that you are a divine expression of infinite intelligence, life will confirm that as well. The outer is always a mirror of the inner. Worthiness is not something you earn by achievement. It is not granted by applause. It is not validated by titles or possessions. Worthiness is your birthright because you are not a random accident in a chaotic universe. You are an individualized expression of the same creative force that spins galaxies and orchestrates the seasons. The same intelligence that causes a seed to become a towering oak is alive within you. How could something born of that intelligence be unworthy? But the ego has a different story. The ego thrives on comparison. It whispers, look at them, they are smarter, richer, more attractive, more successful. The ego builds an identity around lack and deficiency. It feeds on your self-doubt because self-doubt keeps you small and the ego feels safe in smallness. It convinces you that you must prove yourself, compete, struggle, and strive endlessly before you are allowed to receive. Yet the soul does not compete. The soul knows. The soul knows that you are already whole. The soul does not ask, am I enough? The soul declares, I am. When you identify with the ego, you chase what you want from a place of scarcity. When you identify with your soul, you allow what you desire to flow from a place of wholeness. Think about the sun. The sun does not wake up each morning and wonder if it deserves to shine. It shines because shining is its nature. It does not ration its light to those who have proven themselves worthy. It simply radiates. And in that radiance, life flourishes. You, too, are meant to radiate. But you have been taught to dim yourself, to question your brilliance, to seek permission to shine. The moment you decide you are worth having what you want is the moment you stop negotiating with your own divinity. You stop saying maybe someday. You stop saying if I'm lucky. You stop waiting for someone else to validate your dreams. Instead, you align your inner identity with the highest vision you hold of yourself. Everything you want is not just a random craving. Your desires are clues. They are signals from your higher self, pointing you toward expansion. When you desire love, it is because you are meant to express love more fully. When you desire abundance, it is because you are meant to experience and share abundance. When you desire purpose, it is because your soul longs to be expressed in a greater way. Desire itself is sacred. It is the language of the soul calling you forward. But if you believe you are unworthy, you will sabotage what you attract. You will push away love when it arrives. You will shrink from opportunity. You will doubt your success and unconsciously recreate struggle because struggle feels familiar. You cannot receive what you believe you do not deserve. So the work is not in chasing what you want. The work is in transforming your self-concept. The work is in looking at yourself and seeing not your history, not your mistakes, not your failures, but your essence. The essence is untouched by your past. The essence is pure awareness, pure potential, pure love. When you anchor yourself in that essence, you become magnetic. Imagine standing in front of a mirror. If you frown, the reflection frowns. If you smile, the reflection smiles. The universe is that mirror. When you carry the vibration of unworthiness, the reflection is scarcity. When you carry the vibration of worthiness, the reflection is abundance. You do not force the mirror to change. You change your expression. This is not about arrogance. It is not about declaring superiority. It is about recognizing unity. When you know you are worthy, you do not diminish others. You see their worthiness too. You understand that there is enough for everyone because the source from which all things arise is infinite. There is no competition in infinity. The ego fears that if you believe you are worthy, you will become complacent. But the opposite is true. When you know you are worthy, you stop wasting energy proving yourself. You stop seeking approval. You move from inspiration instead of desperation. Your actions become expressions of joy rather than attempts to fill a void. Look at the ocean. It does not struggle to be vast. It does not strive to be deep. It simply is. And because it is so completely itself, it holds an entire world within it. You are like that ocean. When you are completely yourself, when you no longer apologize for your existence, you hold worlds within you. Creativity flows. Relationships deepen. Opportunities arise in synchronistic ways. You have been conditioned to believe that wanting more means you are ungrateful. But gratitude and desire are not opposites. Gratitude is the recognition of what is. Desire is the recognition of what is possible. When you combine gratitude for who you are with the decision that you are worthy of expansion, you create a powerful alignment. Notice the stories you tell about yourself. I'm not good with money. I always choose the wrong partners. Success is for other people. These are not facts. They are agreements you have made with your ego, and you can withdraw your agreement at any time. The moment you decide that those stories no longer define you, they begin to dissolve. You are not your past. You are not your resume. You are not your bank account. You are not the criticism you received as a child. You are the awareness that witnesses all of that. And awareness is untouched, limitless, eternal. When you shift your identity from the temporary to the eternal, you tap into a power that is beyond circumstance. Everything you want exists as a potential in the field of infinite possibilities. It is not withheld. It is not locked away. It is waiting for resonance. When you decide you are worthy, you adjust your frequency. You move into alignment with the version of yourself who already has what you desire. And from that alignment, inspired action flows naturally. This is why two people can work equally hard and have entirely different results. One works from fear and doubt, trying to prove something. The other works from inspiration and self-trust. The first repels because the energy is constricted. The second attracts because the energy is open. Ask yourself, what would you do if you knew you were worthy? How would you speak? How would you love? How would you show up in your career? How would you treat your body? Worthiness is not just about receiving. It is about how you honor yourself at every moment. When you know you are worthy of love, you stop tolerating relationships that diminish you. When you know you are worthy of abundance, you stop settling for environments that drain you. When you know you are worthy of joy, you stop postponing happiness until some distant future. The ego will protest. It will say, who do you think you are? And the answer is simple. You are a divine being having a human experience. You are an extension of the same intelligence that animates all of life. You are not here to beg. You are here to express. Forgive yourself for ever believing you were less. Forgive the voices that told you to shrink. Forgive the mistakes you made when you were operating from ignorance. Forgiveness clears the space for worthiness to take root. There are no justified resentments, especially against yourself. Imagine your life as a garden. Every belief is a seed. If you plant seeds of unworthiness, you will harvest limitation. If you plant seeds of self-trust and love, you will harvest abundance. The soil does not judge the seed. It simply grows what is planted. Your subconscious mind is that soil. Be deliberate about what you plant. You can get everything you want, not because you manipulate the universe, but because you align with it. You become a vibrational match to the life you envision. You act from clarity instead of fear. You trust instead of control. You allow instead of force. There is a quiet confidence that emerges when you decide you are worthy. It is not loud. It does not need to boast. It is steady, grounded, calm. It is the knowing that whatever you desire is already on its way because you are no longer blocking it with doubt. When you walk through the world with that knowing, doors open, conversations shift, ideas flow. You notice opportunities you once overlooked. You become sensitive to guidance. The soul speaks in intuition, in nudges, in subtle impulses. And because you trust your worthiness, you follow those impulses. You stop asking, why hasn't it happened yet, and begin asking, how can I align more fully with who I truly am? The focus shifts from chasing outcomes to embodying identity. And when identity changes, outcomes follow. Remember, you are not separate from the source of your desires. The same intelligence that placed the desire within you also holds the pathway to its fulfillment. Trust that. Trust yourself. Trust the process of unfolding. Decide today that you are worth having the love you seek, the success you imagine, the peace you crave. Decide not as a hope, but as a declaration. Let that decision ripple through every cell of your being. Let it inform your choices, your words, your posture, your expectations. You are not here to live a small life. You are here to expand, to express, to experience the fullness of what it means to be a conscious creator. Everything you want is not outside of you. It is a reflection of who you are becoming. Stand in that becoming. Embrace it. Own it. And watch as the world mirrors back to you the truth you have finally accepted. That you are worthy, that you always have been, and that once you decide to know it, nothing can keep from you what is already aligned with your soul. And as you deepen into that knowing, something subtle begins to dissolve. The tension you once carried in your shoulders softens. The urgency that once drove you begins to quiet. You no longer feel as though you are racing against life. You begin to feel as though life is moving with you. This is the shift from striving to allowing. When you believe you must struggle to deserve, you create resistance. You push against the current of your own becoming. But when you decide you are worthy now, not someday, not after one more achievement, not after one more apology, you enter into harmony with the creative force that animates everything. Consider how a river flows. It does not argue with the rocks in its path. It does not demand that the terrain change before it can move forward. It simply flows around obstacles, over them, through them. It trusts its destination without obsessing over every twist and turn. Worthiness allows you to become like that river. You stop trying to force outcomes. You trust your direction. So much of what you call wanting is actually a longing to feel whole. You want success because you believe it will validate you. You want love because you believe it will complete you. You want recognition because you believe it will finally make you feel seen. But when you decide you are already worthy, those desires shift from need to preference. You still desire, but you no longer cling. And paradoxically, it is in that non-clinging that fulfillment appears. When you cling, you signal lack. When you allow, you signal trust. And trust is the language of the universe. Trust says, I know who I am. I know I am supported. I know that what is meant for me cannot miss me. This is not passive thinking. It is powerful alignment. Your worthiness does not depend on perfection. Perfection is an illusion created by the ego to keep you in a state of self-judgment. The oak tree is not more worthy than the sapling. The sunrise is not more deserving than the twilight. Each stage of life has its own beauty, its own completeness. You are complete at every stage of your unfolding. When you make mistakes, you are not losing worth. When you stumble, you are not falling from grace. You are learning. You are expanding. You are refining your awareness. The soul is not concerned with your resume of failures. The soul is interested in your growth. There is a profound freedom in understanding that nothing external can increase or decrease your intrinsic value. Money cannot make you more worthy. Loss cannot make you less worthy. Praise cannot elevate you. Criticism cannot diminish you. You are beyond all of it. When you internalize this truth, you stop living at the mercy of circumstances. You stop handing your emotional state to other people's opinions. You reclaim your center. You become anchored in something deeper than approval. From that anchoring, you begin to create consciously. You no longer choose careers because they impress others. You choose them because they resonate with your essence. You no longer stay in relationships because you fear being alone. You stay because love flows naturally. You no longer silence your voice because you are afraid of rejection. You speak because your truth is worthy of expression. Everything begins with identity. If you see yourself as someone who is perpetually overlooked, you will unconsciously create situations that confirm that identity. If you see yourself as someone who is divinely supported, you will begin to notice evidence everywhere. Life reflects identity. So who are you choosing to be? Not who were you taught to be. Not who are you told you must be, but who in the quiet of your own awareness, do you know yourself to be? There is a deeper self beneath the roles, beneath the name, beneath the personality, beneath the accomplishments. It is the silent witness, the presence that has been with you since your first breath. That presence is whole. That presence is enough. That presence is worthy without condition. When you shift your allegiance from the constructed self to the essential self, everything transforms. You stop trying to earn love and begin to radiate it. You stop trying to secure abundance and begin to expect it. You stop trying to prove your intelligence and begin to trust your intuition. Intuition is the voice of your higher self guiding you toward expansion. But doubt often drowns it out. Doubt says, what if you fail? Worthiness says, what if you fly? Doubt focuses on the risk of loss. Worthiness focuses on the possibility of growth. You cannot hear divine guidance if you are constantly questioning your value. When you believe you are worthy, you listen differently. You act differently. You interpret setbacks differently. What once felt like rejection becomes redirection. What once felt like failure becomes feedback. The universe is not testing your worth. It is responding to your belief about your worth. If you walk into a room believing you do not belong, you will shrink. You will hesitate. You will interpret neutral glances as judgment. But if you walk into that same room knowing you are worthy of being there, your posture changes. Your energy changes. People respond differently. The room has not changed. You have. This is the quiet miracle of inner decision. You do not need to chase everything you want. You need to become the version of yourself who expects it naturally. And expectation is not arrogance. It is alignment. It is the recognition that as a divine being, you are not separate from the abundance you seek. There is no spiritual virtue in self-denial. You are not more enlightened because you shrink your desires. You are not more humble because you downplay your gifts. True humility is not thinking less of yourself. It is thinking of yourself less, not in a dismissive way, but in a liberated way. You are not obsessed with defending or elevating your identity. You simply are. And from that simplicity, greatness flows. Everything you want is an extension of the energy you embody. Love flows to the loving. Opportunity flows to the open. Creativity flows to the courageous. Abundance flows to the aligned. The question is never, can I have it? The question is, am I willing to see myself as someone who deserves it? Deserving is not about moral accounting. It is not about tallying good deeds against mistakes. It is about resonance. A radio does not deserve a certain station more than another. It simply tunes itself to a frequency. You are tuning your life through your self-concept. If you tune to fear, you receive static. If you tune to confidence, you receive clarity. If you tune to unworthiness, you receive limitation. If you tune to self-love, you receive expansion. So decide. Decide that you are worthy of the love you once believed was for someone else. Decide that you are worthy of the financial freedom you once thought was unrealistic. Decide that you are worthy of the peace you once believed was reserved for saints and sages. Peace is not earned, it is allowed. Abundance is not chased, it is aligned. Love is not begged for, it is reflected. You are not here to prove your value, you are here to express it. When you wake up in the morning, instead of asking, what must I do to be enough? Ask, how can I express the fullness of who I already am? That subtle shift changes the trajectory of your day. It changes the tone of your conversations. It changes the opportunities you notice. Your life is not waiting for you to become worthy. It is waiting for you to recognize that you already are. And when that recognition settles into your bones, when it becomes more than an idea and transforms into conviction, you move differently, you speak differently, you love differently. You stop asking for permission to exist fully. You understand that the same intelligence that orchestrates the cosmos pulses through your veins. The same creativity that paints the sky at dusk breathes through your imagination. The same force that sustains the oceans sustains your dreams. How could you be unworthy of what arises from that source? You can get everything you want, not because the world owes you, but because you are not separate from the creative power that gives birth to your desires. The only barrier has ever been the belief that you must earn what was always yours by nature. Release that belief. Stand in your inherent worth. Trust your divine identity, and allow the life that has been patiently waiting for your acceptance to unfold with grace, ease, and a quiet certainty that you are exactly who you are meant to be and more than worthy of everything that calls your soul forward. There is something within you that has never been broken, never been diminished, never been less than whole. It existed before anyone spoke your name. It was present before a single opinion about you was formed. It was there before you succeeded, and it was there before you failed. And that presence, that silent, radiant awareness has never once questioned its own worth. Only the voice of doubt has done that. Only the conditioned mind has whispered that you are not enough. You do not lack potential. You lack belief in yourself. And belief is not something you must manufacture. It is something you must uncover. From the moment you entered this world, you were immersed in a sea of labels: good, bad, smart, slow, capable, limited. And over time, these labels formed a shell around your true nature. The ego began to take shape, that false self that believes it must prove, compete, defend, and compare. The ego says, I am what I achieve. I am what others think of me. I am my history. But the soul whispers something entirely different. The soul says, I am. Just that. I am. Not I am successful. Not I am worthy if. Not I am better than. Simply I am. Infinite, creative, connected. When you forget this, you begin to measure your potential by external evidence. You say, when I see results, then I will believe. But life does not work that way. The universe responds to your vibration, not your resume. It responds to your inner conviction, not your outer validation. If you plant a seed and dig it up every day to check its progress, it will never grow. Yet this is what we do with ourselves. We plant a dream and then suffocate it with doubt. Belief is the sunlight of the soul. Without it, even the richest soil remains dormant. You were not created to live in hesitation. You were not designed to shrink yourself to make others comfortable. The same intelligence that orchestrates galaxies orchestrates your heartbeat. The same force that paints the sunrise breathes life through you. Do you think that force would create something inadequate? Do you believe the divine makes mistakes? The oak tree does not question whether it has the potential to become tall. The river does not hesitate before flowing toward the sea. Nature does not doubt itself. It simply expresses its essence. And you, as an expression of this same universal intelligence, are meant to do the same. But somewhere along the way, you learn to disconnect from your source. You began to believe the story of limitation. Perhaps someone told you that you were unrealistic. Perhaps you tried and failed and decided that failure defined you. Perhaps you compared your beginning to someone else's middle and concluded you were behind. Yet the truth remains unchanged. You are not your past performance. You are not your mistakes. You are not the fears that arise in your mind. You are the awareness observing those fears. And awareness has no limits. The problem is never potential. Potential is inherent. Potential is your birthright. The problem is identification. When you identify with your doubts, you shrink. When you identify with your fears, you freeze. When you identify with your ego, you compete for scraps in a universe of abundance. The ego thrives on comparison. It says, look at them. They are further ahead. They are more talented. But comparison is the thief of divine expression. When you compare, you forget that there is only one you. And the universe did not duplicate you for a reason. Your gifts are not meant to mirror someone else's. They are meant to complete the symphony of existence in a way only you can. Belief begins when you stop asking, am I good enough? And start declaring, I am here for a reason. You do not have to see the entire staircase to take the first step. You do not have to guarantee the outcome to begin the journey. Faith is not blind optimism. Faith is alignment. It is the quiet certainty that when you act from your highest self, the universe rearranges to meet you. Think of the times you felt most alive. It was not when you were proving yourself. It was when you were being yourself. When you lost track of time because you were immersed in something meaningful. When you felt connected to something larger than your individual concerns. That state is not accidental. It is your natural state. When you lack belief in yourself, you outsource your power. You wait for permission. You wait for applause. You wait for certainty. But certainty is a myth created by the ego to delay your greatness. Life is not meant to be controlled. It is meant to be trusted. Trust does not mean there will be no obstacles. It means you understand that obstacles are part of the unfolding. The caterpillar does not interpret the cocoon as imprisonment. It is transformation. And what you call limitation may be preparation. Imagine if you stopped telling yourself the story of insufficiency. Imagine if you no longer rehearsed every possible failure before you began. Imagine if, instead of asking, "What if I fall?" you asked, "What if I fly?" Belief is not arrogance, it is remembrance. It is remembering that you are a spiritual being having a human experience. It is remembering that your essence is not defined by temporary conditions. It is remembering that your worth is not on trial. When you truly believe in yourself, you are not trying to dominate life. You are cooperating with it. You move with intention, but without desperation. You act with courage, but without attachment. You give your best and release the outcome. This is inner freedom. The moment you detach from the need to be validated, you step into your power. The moment you stop negotiating with your fears, you reclaim your energy. The moment you realize that your thoughts are choices, you understand that your life is a reflection of those choices. Change your thoughts, and you change your experience. If you continuously affirm, "I am limited," you will find evidence to support that belief. The mind is a brilliant servant, but a terrible master. It will obey whatever instruction you repeat. So instruct it wisely. Tell yourself, "I am capable. I am guided. I am supported," not as empty affirmations, but as truths waiting to be embodied. And when doubt arises because it will, do not fight it. Observe it, witness it as a passing cloud in the vast sky of your awareness. You are not the cloud, you are the sky. The sky does not resist the storm. It allows it, knowing it will pass. So allow your fears to pass. Allow your insecurities to dissolve. Do not cling to them as identity. They are visitors, not residents. Belief grows in silence, in stillness, in the quiet moments when you disconnect from the noise of the world and reconnect with the wisdom within. Meditation is not an escape, it is a return. It is a remembering of who you are beneath the chatter. And who you are is enough. You are not here to imitate, you are here to originate. You are not here to seek approval. You are here to express divinity in form. The world does not benefit from your conformity, it benefits from your authenticity. If you wait until you feel completely ready, you will wait forever. Readiness is a decision, not a condition. Belief is a practice, not a personality trait. Start small. Speak up when your voice trembles. Take one step when your legs feel uncertain. Create when inspiration nudges you. Each action taken in faith strengthens your inner conviction. And understand this. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of it. Every setback refines you. Every challenge deepens you. You are not being tested to prove your worth. You are being shaped to reveal it. When you look at your life from a higher perspective, you see that every experience has contributed to your expansion. Nothing has been wasted. Even your doubts have led you here to this moment of awakening. The question is not whether you have potential. The question is whether you will stop denying it. The universe does not respond to who you pretend to be. It responds to who you truly are. So remove the mask, release the comparison. Let go of the narrative that you are behind or unqualified or too late. There is no competition in authenticity. There is no scarcity in purpose. Your life is not a race against others. It is a journey toward alignment with your highest self. And alignment begins with belief. Not belief that you will never stumble, but belief that you are more than your stumbles. Not belief that life will be easy, but belief that you are equipped for whatever arises. You are equipped because you are connected to the same intelligence that spins planets and orchestrates seasons, connected to a field of infinite possibility that responds to your intention. So intend boldly, dream without apology, act without shrinking, and when the voice of doubt returns, as it inevitably will, smile at it. Thank it for trying to protect you, and then gently remind it that you are no longer living from fear, you are living from faith. Because you do not lack potential, you lack belief, and belief is within your control. In this very moment, you can choose a new thought. You can choose a new identity. You can choose to see yourself not as a collection of past events, but as a living expression of infinite possibility. Close your eyes and feel that truth. Feel the quiet power within your chest. Feel the steady rhythm of your heart, a reminder that life is flowing through you without effort. You do not have to force your existence. You simply have to trust it. Trust that you are guided. Trust that you are supported. Trust that you are here with purpose. And then act accordingly. Live as though your presence matters, because it does. Speak as though your voice carries value, because it does. Create as though your ideas are needed, because they are. The world does not need another copy. It needs you, fully expressed. So step forward, not with arrogance, but with assurance. Not with ego, but with essence. Not to prove, but to embody. You were never meant to doubt your light. You were meant to shine. And shining does not mean standing on a stage for the world to applaud you. Shining means allowing the light of your true nature to illuminate your own path first. It means waking up each morning and remembering that you are not here to compete with the sun. You are here to remember that the same radiance lives within you. There is a quiet tragedy in a life lived beneath its potential. Not because the world misses out, though it does, but because the soul feels the ache of suppression. When you deny your gifts, when you silence your intuition, when you shrink to fit into spaces too small for your spirit, you feel it. It shows up as restlessness, as envy, as a subtle dissatisfaction that no external achievement can soothe. That ache is not a flaw, it is guidance. It is your inner being whispering, there is more for you. Not more possessions, not more applause, more expression, more authenticity, more alignment. You see, the ego says, when I achieve enough, then I will believe in myself. But the soul says, when you believe in yourself, achievement becomes a natural byproduct. The order matters. Belief precedes manifestation. Conviction precedes creation. Every invention, every masterpiece, every breakthrough in human history began as an invisible idea held by someone who chose to believe before there was evidence. If they had waited for proof, nothing would exist. The airplane was imagined before it flew. The symphony was heard internally before it was performed. The cure was envisioned before it was discovered. Creation always begins in consciousness, and your life is no different. When you continually rehearse thoughts of inadequacy, you are creating from a field of limitation. When you rehearse thoughts of possibility, you are creating from a field of expansion. The universe is impartial. It mirrors your dominant vibration. It does not judge whether your beliefs are empowering or destructive. It simply reflects them. So ask yourself gently, honestly, what have I been believing about myself? Have you been telling yourself that you are too old, too late, too inexperienced, too damaged, too ordinary? These are not facts, they are interpretations. And interpretations can be changed. You are not too late. Time is not your enemy. Time is a dimension through which your consciousness moves. And in every moment, you have the opportunity to begin again. The past has no power except the power you give it. It cannot reach forward and stop you. Only your attachment to it can do that. Let go of the narrative that defines you by what has already occurred. The oak tree does not identify as the acorn it once was. It does not cling to the memory of being small. It expands because expansion is its nature. Expansion is your nature as well. When you release the belief that you are fixed, that your abilities are static, that your personality is permanent, that your destiny is predetermined by old experiences, you open yourself to growth. The soul is dynamic, it is creative, it is forever evolving, and you are an expression of that evolving consciousness. There is no ceiling on your potential except the one constructed by doubt, and doubt is learned. As children, we reach for everything. We attempt to walk without knowing how. We speak without fearing embarrassment. We imagine without questioning practicality. Belief is natural in childhood. Limitation is taught. Somewhere along the way, someone said, be realistic. And what they often meant was adopt my fears. But realism without vision is simply conformity. Vision is what moves humanity forward. You were not born to inherit someone else's limitations. You were born to discover your own possibilities. Belief in yourself is not about becoming someone else. It is about returning to the unconditioned self that existed before doubt took root. It is about remembering the fearless curiosity, the creative impulse, the inner knowing that guided you before the world's opinions grew louder than your intuition. Your intuition is still there. It speaks softly. It does not shout over the noise of comparison and criticism. It waits patiently for you to become still enough to hear it. And when you do, it will guide you with a clarity that logic alone cannot provide. Logic has its place, but logic is limited to what has already been proven. Intuition opens the door to what has not yet been imagined. When you choose belief, you are not denying practical steps. You are empowering them. You are saying, I trust that as I move forward, clarity will come. And it does. One step reveals the next. Not because you control the entire path, but because you participate in its unfolding. There is a beautiful paradox in this. The more you trust, the less you force. The less you force, the more you align. And the more you align, the more effortlessly life flows. Struggle often arises not from lack of potential, but from resistance to your own greatness. It feels safer to doubt than to risk discovering how powerful you truly are. If you never fully try, you can always blame circumstance. But if you step fully into your potential, you must release excuses. You must claim responsibility for your creative power, and that can be terrifying. Yet within that responsibility lies freedom. When you realize that your thoughts shape your experience, you are no longer a victim of external conditions. You become a co-creator with the universe. You understand that while you cannot control every event, you can always choose your response. And your response is where your power resides. Belief in yourself is the decision to respond with faith rather than fear. It is waking up and choosing to think thoughts that elevate rather than diminish. It is speaking to yourself with compassion rather than criticism. It is treating your dreams as sacred rather than frivolous. Your dreams are not random. They are clues. They are whispers from the deeper self pointing you toward expansion. When you dismiss them, you are dismissing guidance. Listen instead. If a vision continues to return to you, if a desire persists despite obstacles, there is meaning in that persistence. The soul does not repeat itself without purpose. The call you feel is not accidental. It is an invitation, and invitations require acceptance. You accept by acting, not recklessly, not impulsively, but courageously. You begin where you are. You use what you have. You take the step that feels aligned, even if it feels small. Small steps taken in belief become extraordinary journeys. And as you walk this path, something remarkable happens. Your confidence does not come from achievement alone. It comes from integrity, from knowing that you honored your inner guidance, from knowing that you did not betray your own potential out of fear. That kind of confidence cannot be taken from you. It is rooted in alignment, not applause. There will still be challenges. There will still be moments of uncertainty. But uncertainty does not mean you are on the wrong path. It means you are growing. Growth stretches you beyond familiarity, and unfamiliar territory can feel uncomfortable. Yet discomfort is not danger. It is expansion. Trust the expansion. Trust that the same intelligence that guides the migration of birds and the blooming of flowers is guiding you. You are not separate from that intelligence. You are an expression of it. So when doubt arises, return to that truth. Place your hand on your heart and remember, I am connected, I am supported, I am capable of more than I have allowed myself to believe. Let that remembrance become your foundation. You do not lack potential. You have always been potential in motion. What you have been missing is not talent, not opportunity, not destiny. It is the unwavering decision to believe that you are worthy of expressing what already lives within you. Make that decision now. Not tomorrow when you feel braver. Not next year when circumstances improve. Now, in this breath, in this awareness, choose to see yourself as the universe sees you. Whole, creative, powerful, necessary. And then live from that vision. Because when you finally believe in yourself, you stop waiting for life to begin. You realize it has been waiting for you all along.